Has anyone ever tried to talk to you in a public bathroom? Once a young girl went into a public bathroom and heard from the stall next to hers, "Shall we put on the red vest?" She got scared, ran off, and called the police. 2 officers arrived. One went in and heard the same voice asking, "Shall we put on the red vest?" The officer outside heard her reply, "Okay, put it on." Suddenly, a loud scream, then a thump. The second officer opened the door to check on his partner, then found her head rolling on the ground and blood all the way down her back, making it look like she was wearing a red vest. In Japanese urban legend, the Akamanto is a ghost who haunts bathrooms, specifically female bathrooms. He wears a red cape and hides his face with a white mask. If he chooses you, he will ask you if you want to wear a red vest or a blue vest. If you say red, he will chop your head off. If you say blue, he will grab you by the neck until your face turns blue and you suffocate. If you try to ask for a third color, the floor will open up and a pair of pale hands will reach up and drag you to hell. Can you solve this mystery? This is a story about a young girl whose brother confessed to killing their parents, but things are not as they seem. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So one day this young girl decided to tell her friend about the terrible tragedy. Her friend asked about what happened to her brother after the confession. She said he got arrested, went to trial, and eventually was found guilty and sentenced to death by lethal injection. During the execution, her brother never said a word. He gave no explanation and just stared at her blankly as they gave him the injection. The young girl admitted after that she couldn't eat or sleep. She had so many questions, but no one left to give her answers. She tried to block out the terrible memories and suffered from depression and even amnesia. The friend suggested she go to a psychic to find some answers, so she did. She asked, "What drove my brother to lose his mind?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was always perfectly sane." The girl asked, "So then why did my brother kill our parents?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was only responsible for the death of one person." Suddenly, the girl understood everything. She broke down crying. What really happened to this family? Can you solve this mystery? Has anyone ever told you not to do something and that just made you want to do it more? For these 3 girls, their curiosity would lead to something terrifying. These girls went to high school together and one night they decided to have a sleepover. They were also fans of horror movies, so they thought it would be nice to rent one out and watch it. They eventually found a video rental store on the street corner and went inside. They would soon regret this decision. They asked a woman behind the counter if she had any suggestions for horror movies that they could watch. The woman said she had the perfect movie for them and went into the back room. Then one of the girls noticed that an old and rusted videotape was lying on the counter. She picked it up and was instantly curious, but things got intense when the woman came back. She slammed her hands down on the old videotape and pulled it away. She said, "That's not something you should be watching." The woman wouldn't say anything else, only that it was a home movie. Then she handed them a regular horror movie. The girls agreed to rent that one out instead, but one of the girls was still too curious. She wanted to know what was in that old tape, so when the woman wasn't looking, she put it in her purse and left with it. When the girls came home, they decided to watch the old tape together, but what they saw on there would both shock and terrify them. Follow for part 2. Has anyone ever told you not to do something and that just made you want to do it more? Once 3 girls went into a video rental store to find a horror movie to watch. They came across an old tape, but the woman at the store told them they weren't allowed to watch it. After one girl stole the tape, they decided to watch it together, but what they would see would terrify them. They pressed play. Suddenly, the room went into darkness with only the TV on. On screen, they saw a woman tied to a wooden stake. She was surrounded by an angry crowd carrying torches, until one man walked towards the woman and set the wood beneath her feet on fire. The woman began laughing, and as the flames reached her face, she screamed that all who witnessed her death would suffer the same fate in 2 days. Then the tape cut off. The girls were scared, but eventually convinced themselves it was a prank. They decided to return the tape, but when they went back to the store, they found that it was gone. It was just an abandoned building. 2 days later, all 3 girls were found scattered across the city, their bodies burned beyond recognition. When the police investigated the strange coincidence, they found nothing around the girls had been touched by flames at all, except the trash can outside of one of their homes. Everything inside had been turned to ash except for one mysterious videotape, which was left untouched.